Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel and the second video in my retro 2nd edition 40k journey. If you haven't seen the first video, I'll pop a link to that in the description below, but essentially I've become obsessed with 2nd edition 40k again. A game that I spent many years playing in the 90s, and I've got a taste for it again. And so the last video explains what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, the beginnings of my Space Marine army, and all the other bits and pieces about why I love this game so much. In this video, I'm going to be looking at my recently started Chaos Space Marine army. So in the previous video, I mentioned that I was building 2 armies with the aim of playing at least one game of 2nd edition 40k by the end of the year. I had the startings, the base of a Space Marine army, and I've been working on that, and that's quite close to where I want it to be. But they needed an opposition force, and so I chose Chaos Space Marines, because back in the day, I had a Chaos Space Marine army that was very heavily converted, which will feature quite a bit in this video, because I think with Chaos Space Marines in 2nd edition, the scope for creativity and kit bashing was immense. And what I'm going to be doing is taking some of that and kit bashing in this video. I've actually made some progress on the Chaos Space Marines so far, and I'm going to show you those at the end of the video. What I've painted so far, what I've obtained from eBay, what's on the what's up and coming and ready to be added. But that'll be later. I want to just show you something. So, Chaos, Codex Chaos. So in this is like a tome of just inspiration and ideas for converting Chaos Space Marines. I think players were encouraged. They were really encouraged to let their creativity just run wild with Chaos and the mutations and the change and the various characteristics that come with the different Chaos Legions. Free reign to convert and kit bash to your heart's desire. And in here there's loads of examples of existing miniatures that have been converted or kit bashed, and for me back in the 90s this was a massive source of inspiration. I read through this codex copiously all the time, getting ideas for conversions and different squads, and I think I had about over 40 converted Chaos Space Marines, and some of them were slightly modified, some of them were just horrifically kit bashed. But that's what I want to do for this army, have some kit bashed and converted Chaos Space Marines in there. And this reminded me of this. So this is White Dwarf 202. This was released in October 1996, and there's an article in here that again it was just brilliant. So it's called Lost in the Warp. So it's by Jake Thornton, and it's all about converting Chaos bits and pieces, Chaos Space Marines, using anything you can find in your bits box. And as soon as I saw this article, I was like, yes, I want to do this. There's the same artwork here from John Blanche. Again, this is straight up just inspiration all over the place. If you're not inspired by John Blanche, you really need to be. His Chaos artwork is fantastic. But what this article showed was various kit bashed Chaos Space Marines from Games Workshop staff. So you've got these ones here with dinosaur heads, and we've got A.D. Woods World Eaters and Plague Marines. Got a fantastic Dreadnought, which is the inspiration for an upcoming video where I'll be making my own Nurgle Dreadnought. Then you have Andy Chambers and his Iron Warriors, and then John Blanche. I mean, just look at those. That's what you should be aspiring to when it comes to kit bashing your Chaos Space Marines. So what I want to do is use this article as an inspiration to kit bash a squad of Chaos Space Marines. And what I'm going for is Chaos Veterans. I just like the idea of them. They've got a couple of special rules thrown in there. You can equip them, quite well. They get infiltration, dispersed formation. They're a really good unit, but I like the idea of having a really heavily kit-bashed squad of veteran Chaos Space Marines. Now for this, I'm going to set myself a couple of challenges. Well, the main challenge is I don't want to buy anything. I think with kit bashing, it's always what you can make use of that you've already got in your collection, in your bits box, etc. And that's what I want to do. I just want to use the bits that I can find and forage from all the various bits boxes that I have, and see if I can put together a squad of veteran Chaos Space Marines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for a bit of an adventure. I'm going to go and pillage my bits boxes, dig out a few things, and I'm going to come back and show you what I've found and the plans of putting them together. So I shall see you in a little bit. And so I am back after quite a productive deep dive through several bits boxes and a few bits and pieces I've not seen for, well, many years. But it's been quite productive, quite successful, and possibly a good way to spend a couple of hours on a Saturday morning. I think I've got what I need. Now on to how I'm going to use some of the bits and pieces to build this veteran Chaos Space Marine squad. As I mentioned in the previous section, I wasn't quite sure what type of Chaos Space Marines to build. Were they going to be, you know, Khorne or Nurgle, etc. A few things have happened during my excavations of these bits boxes that have made me choose Nurgle. So I'm going to go for some Plague Marines, some Death Guard. And there's a couple of reasons for this. The first is I keep being drawn back from this article to these by A.D. Wood, these Plague Marines, because these are so inspirational. Just look at them. I would love to have something very similar in my Chaos Space Marine army, but these have been the inspiration for me choosing Death Guard Plague Marines for my veterans. So initially I was thinking about the actual models I was going to use, so the legs and torsos, and these were my original idea. These are from the Betrayal at Calth box that I bought for absolutely no reason when it first came out. I painted a few of the figures. I've not really done a lot with it. I never played it, and most of it ended up in various bits boxes. What I like about these though is it's heresy armor. So these are some of that I've worked on in the past. Most of them are just bare plastic, but I do like them because the scale is right, so they're sort of firstborn scale, but the armor as well, it's got that heresy feel to it. And that was my initial plan. So I was going to use 5 of these, find a couple of torsos, stick them on, and then work my way around, adding different kinds of weapons. But then I remembered something. I remembered this. So this is something I picked up a couple of years back. It's a box of the new Horus Heresy troopers, and I really liked them. I painted up 5 or 6 of these, and I really did enjoy them. And I actually forgotten until I was digging around that I owned them. But these have really opened up some new possibilities for me. So if you just compare them, it's the same size. These are slightly more monopose because, you know, certain legs and mostly the leg combinations. But I do like the fact that these have got the proper studded shoulder pad, and they're going to work with other things that I've got planned. So having chosen to do Plague Marines or Death Guard, I've got the base in which I'm going to put the figures on. These are going to be, you know, converted, kitbashed, etc. in a whole manner of different ways. So that was that idea sort of resolved, what I needed to use as base miniatures. But then I had another another idea, another brainwave. Again, for no reason whatsoever, a couple of months back, I started painting up the Age of Sigmar Spearhead box, the Maggotkin of Nurgle. And I found that I really like painting Nurgle themed miniatures. And so I've got loads of it, loads of bits left over. Various different weapons, there's some cool heads, banners, there's some really horrendous looking weapons. There's a bunch of Nurglings on that one. Armour that could be added to the Heresy Marines. There's a whole random bits and pieces, like a nice Nurgle sign there. And some huge weapons. And I think they will fit really quite well with the torsos on this kit. So I'm going to be using those two kits as the basis of my Plague Marines. But then something else happened. And so I was looking through and I found this, which is well, it's Delac gangs from Necromunda. So I've used these in the past to kit bash for games such as Space Weirdos and the Damned. It's not the Damned, the Doomed even. And I do like them. What I like about them is these long sort of like overcoat type things, or aprons, but they've got lots of pipes. Now, could I possibly incorporate these into my build for these veteran Plague Marines? It's very tempting. I don't want them to look completely out the like they've just been cobbled together with no thought or rhyme or reason. But that is interesting me, whether or not these could be used, or there's some torsos added to these ones. It's definitely a possibility. In the past, I've actually combined these with Genestealer Neophyte Hybrid kits to make some pretty interesting looking characters. They were for Space Weirdos, but I've got some decisions to make whether to include this in my build. What I've got here is also just random bits and pieces that I thought might be useful. So I've got this old Chaos Knight standard. I've got an actual Chaos Knight torso and legs, but it's a cavalry one, so they won't be used. There's a couple of that's a Space Wolf Power Fist. There's some Cataphractii stuff. There's a Beastman arm with an axe that could be quite useful. I also found some intact figures as well. So these are kit bashes that God, I don't know how long ago I made these, but these are a mixture of Grey Knights, the Betrayal at Cataphractii Terminators, and the Marines. And I've got two of those. Now what I've got my eye on is that Power Claw. Ooh, I've got so many possibilities for it then. And the Heavy Flamer, and possibly the Heavy Bolter. I think the squad can only take special weapons. Actually, it can take heavy weapons as well, so I'll have to revisit that and decide what I'm going to include. But they could be getting dismantled in honour of Papa Nurgle, and then this Power Fist as well. So I went through a phase of grimdark kit bashing a few years back. Never really painted any of them, but the pieces are still here and can be put to good use. I've also got, I've also got to get a few bags of various bits and pieces that I found. There's some Chaos backpacks that I came across as well. They are years old, so they're going to be useful to add to these. So it's going to be interesting putting these together. So what I'm going to do now is go away, choose my bits and pieces, and then put them together. So I shall see you in the next part of the video. And so after much trying, testing, generally rooting through all the bits and pieces that I found this morning, I think I've come up with the 5 combinations of different bits and pieces. To put this veteran squad together, it was more difficult than I expected. It was how I want them to look in my head to how they're actually going to turn out. It's probably 2 radically different things. But I'm going to try and make this work as best as I can. What I've done is I've selected all the bits and pieces from various sprues, kits, some painted, some not. Like I say, some I've not seen in many years. But I think I'm there. I've also, luckily, I managed to find 5 of these. So these are the Chaos Marine backpacks. I'm glad I had 5 of those. I did have 6, but I've just used 1 yesterday for a World Eaters champion that arrived in the post from eBay, which may or may not be seen later on in the video if I've painted it up by then. But yeah, backpack sorted. I've got various bits of armour, some spiky bits, horns, some skulls. There's all kinds of bits and pieces that will hopefully go together the way that I've planned it in my head anyway, and hopefully AD Wood will be proud of the inspiration that he's given me for this veteran Chaos Space Marine project. Right, I'm going to go and stick all these together, and when I come back, hopefully the whole squad will be fully completed, painted and based. So wish me luck. I'm going to get stuck into this, so I'll see you in the next part. And so with the kitbashed converted squad of Chaos Space Marines now added to the force, this is what the army looks like so far, and I'm really happy with how this is turning out. Very strong emphasis on on Nurgle, as you can see. I just love painting Pestilence and Plague, and anything Nurgly related, always enjoyable to paint. But before I move on to the actual troops, let's take a look at Abaddon himself. So Abaddon the Despoiler will be leading this force. I do want to get sort of a generic Chaos Lord to command it, because you know Abaddon wouldn't be at every engagement. But when I decided to start building a Chaos Space Marine army, I wanted this guy leading it. I initially owned this figure back in 1996 when it first came out. I actually bought it on the same day as I picked up Codex Chaos, again from a journey across to Games Workshop Chester, and that's where I picked these up. And this is a chunk of metal. This was an absolutely fantastic figure. I know there's a new version out in plastic, but this miniature will always have great memories for me. I remember getting home, and as soon as I got home I ripped open the blister and started painting it straight away. I was so looking forward to painting him. Just such a brilliant miniature, packed full of detail. My original one long since gone, no idea where, but I managed to find this on eBay, very reasonably priced, completely stripped. The detail was phenomenal on it, and yeah, painted this in about over a couple of evenings actually. Just such a brilliant figure, and such great rules as well. He's a great evil man. His old Abaddon the Despoiler. But I always knew I wanted to pick this model up to lead my Chaos Space Marines. So very enjoyable miniature to paint. Like I said, picked up off eBay, and I'm very glad I own this figure again. Now, when I started doing the Chaos Space Marines army, I bought a bunch of plastic models from eBay, all pre-built. Again, aiming for sort of second and third edition miniatures. So the ones that I used for the majority of the Legionnaires are sort of around about, I think it's 2002, pointing up around about third edition. However, in it was in the collection that I bought was this guy, so I thought he is going to be an icon, an icon bearer. It just, the armour, his helmet, that banner with the Cadian skull, and the rather fleshy and meaty looking piece of skin that's hanging off it. Everything about this just screams chaos. And with the skull, as soon as I saw that, I knew I really wanted to paint it looking like the Kurgan from Highlander. So I watched that again recently, and as soon as I saw that skull, I was like, yes, there's the inspiration for this chap, the Kurgan. But again, lots of metallics on this. Really took my time working on the sort of the golds and the bronzes and the deep red of the armour. I've gone for more of a Khorne look with this guy. I thought his armour screamed Khorne, and as with that helmet, yeah, definitely, it's definitely a Khorne helmet. But I never, in my previous Chaos Space Marine army, I didn't run. I never used an icon bearer. But as soon as I saw this, like, yeah, that's going to be included. So that's the 2 character selections added so far. And then, like I said, I bought some of the, I think they're from 2002, Chaos Space Marines. So these are going to be Black Legion. Again, these were bought off eBay, already assembled. So just a little bit of tidy up on them. But I'd never owned any of these before. I really love the. So he's probably going to be an aspiring champion with the amount of skulls going on this figure. He's most definitely aspiring at something. Just really impressed with these plastics. Like I said, these are from about 2002, I believe, and I never owned them. I'd stopped playing by then. So to pick these up and paint them up as Black Legion, it's full of really full of character. What you'll see as well, I've used a theme of red, sort of red coloured weapons throughout this army. I think it just ties the force together. There's lots of metallics as well, but these were brilliant figures. I really enjoyed painting these. And then next up, I went back to eBay and picked up some of these. So these are from 1996, and these are the monopose Plague Marines, and I just think they are so cool. I never owned these. I think I owned the Khorne Berserkers. I do recall owning them, but I never owned these, and I thought these were brilliant. Just memories. When they arrived, like I said, they were off eBay, they were second hand. A lot of them had the spikes on top of the helmets were missing. So I raided my bits box and found as many spiky looking bits and pieces as I could, and just put them on top of the helmets. I think they work quite well. They give them a more sort of a different look to each other. They are monopose. What I also found as well is a couple of weeks before, I'd found this guy in the bottom of my bits box. So this is one of the metal Plague Marine kits. I think that was 2008 that came out. I randomly bought it and I painted a couple of them, but this guy was the only one that was left, and he was in pieces in the bottom of a bits box, and so I rescued him and gave him a completely brand new paint job, and he's going to be the aspiring champion to lead this squad. Again, so yucky looking Plague Marines. And with the monopose ones that I bought, there was this random chap was in there as well. So he didn't have the flamer when it arrived, it had a bolt gun and a knife. Didn't really like the combination, and so I removed the arms, I removed the Nurgle shoulder pads, found this flamer in my bits box, and yeah, it went together really well. So this squad has now got a special weapon option. Don't even know what edition this miniature is linked to, but I did like the shoulder pads, very, very detailed, and the plastic as well. So that is the flamer, and then onto what I was building earlier in the video. So this is, you'll have seen them on the turntable thingy, but this is them completed. So I did get to use one of the Dillac gangers, lower half, for this guy. I think he's going to be the squad leader. I had a whole lot of fun painting these and building them. I just really enjoyed it. And it took me right back to when I was converting my original Chaos Space Marines. And I hope I've done justice to that article that I mentioned earlier, where people were converting their own Chaos Space Marines, because these were a lot of fun to do. And I've got a really unique looking squad of Plague Marines. So he's got a Plague Bearer head there. Combi weapon from the Betrayal at Calth box. And this guy here with his axe and his plasma pistol, and yeah, the head is from the Maggotkin of Nurgle Spearhead box. There's that shoulder pad as well. And we have probably, I think my favourite of the entire squad is this guy. He's got this weird, like a Plague Bearer head. It's just, there's just something uniquely chaos about it, and I just love how well these went together. It turned out much better than I expected. I'll be honest. Again, red weapons continuing through. So that's the last of the Chaos veterans that I built, and that's the army so far. So what's up next? So I've bought a couple of well, a few things off eBay. This arrived yesterday, so I needed a sorcerer. So I went to eBay and I found this from 1996. Again, a miniature I've never owned. Comes with the separate art. Now, it didn't have it came without a backpack, but I had this in the bits box. I was very kindly sent a few chaotic bits and pieces earlier this week, and this was in there, and that's going to fit on there perfectly. So I'm going to have my Chaos Sorcerer. Really looking forward to painting that. It's going to be nice and bright and zinchy. We're talking yellows and blues and greens and reds. That's going to be a lot of fun to paint. I mentioned it earlier. I also picked this up. So this is a Champion of Khorne. So it's like a World Eater Berserker. Again, 1996, I believe. I've got an arm and backpack to go onto him. That's not going to be an issue. Classic miniature. I was so glad when I saw this on eBay. So he's going to be an aspiring champion, leading some. I want to get some berserkers, but for the moment he's just going to be leading a normal squad of World Eaters. But yeah, likes his grenades. I think that tells you a lot about his role. But the one thing I am happy about, this is a find and a half for me. And again, on eBay, I managed to find an entire set of metal Chaos Terminators. So made up finding these, and again, the condition is absolutely brilliant. I saw them being sold as individual models, or two here, two there. This was an entire set, and these are either going to be Abaddon's sort of bodyguard, or they're going to be a squad in their own right. Again, all the various bits and pieces with it. I'll just, yeah, like I said in the previous video, I think hunting down choice items and bits and pieces on eBay, it's now a hobby in itself for me, and I'm really enjoying it. And I found this as well. It's not the greatest, but this is a Rogue Trader Chaos Terminator. This was in one of my bits boxes as well, so I might strip that and have him as a standalone sort of aspiring champion. Scale wise, yeah, it fits in quite well with the them ones. So it's all going well on the bits front. Yeah, so there we go. That is the beginnings of my Chaos Space Marine army. Up next, like I say, I'm going to start working on these. I've got plans to add a dreadnought as well, so I've recently picked up a few bits and pieces to be able to work on a dreadnought. That might be the next video. I'm hoping it will be. I've got a few things planned. I'm just enjoying this project so much. It's been so enjoyable. Just nostalgia, happy gaming memories, and I cannot wait. I'm definitely on course to get a game in before the end of the year, so I'm really excited for that. Well, there we go. I hope you found the video useful or entertaining. If you're making your own way back into 2nd edition 40k. Got any comments or questions, just leave them down below and I'll certainly respond to all comments and questions. But as always, thanks for watching, do take care. May your dice roll well, and I'll catch you all in the next video. So bye bye for now.